Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven.
Give us this day our daily bread,
And forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us.
and lead us not into temptation,
But deliver us from evil. Glory to the Father, and to the Son, and to the Holy Spirit, now and ever, and after ages. Lord have mercy, Lord have mercy, Lord have mercy. Father, bless. С нами Бог, своей благодати, человеку всегда не единственно веков. Аминь. Во благодатном Успении вечный покой, брат Господь, всем нашим прихожанам почившим, а также священникам почившим в этом приходе, и сотворим, Господи, блаженный покой и вечную память.
Sisters, so in order for us to proceed in an orderly fashion, we need to adopt the agenda, and you have copies of the agenda. So I just want to make sure that that we move according to this agenda once we approve it. So if there are any suggestions as to amending it or making some changes, please come forward now. So may I have a motion to approve the agenda? Okay, so we have the motion. Please vote for the approval of the agenda. Who is for, please raise your hand. Against? Abstain? Motion carried. So now we have the agenda, and we can move according to it. So the first thing we need to is to approve the minutes of the previous meeting, and the copy of it has been published on the website for everybody to see, and I understand Father Michael also distributed the copy by email. So if there are any suggestions about changes or omissions, please come forward. Okay, and may I have a motion to approve the minutes of the previous parish meeting? So we have the motion. Please vote for the approval of the minutes of the previous meeting. So please raise your hands. Who is for? Against? Abstain? Motion carried. So the minutes have been approved. So now we move to the next part of the meeting, reports. And the first report is presented by Father Michael, our rector. Please, Father Michael.
Dear parishioners of Holy Resurrection Church, welcome to our annual parish meeting. During the year that passed last year was quite rich in events and hard on people involved in the implementation of our parish tasks. The celebration of the triumph of Orthodoxy took place in last year in Ukrainian Orthodox Church, and this year, present year, it was in Romanian Orthodox Church, and a couple of people from our parish attended. Last year it was in Ukrainian, and we have there gathered approximately 15 priests from all canonical jurisdictions, and we were celebrating this special event of the Orthodox faith. Every first Saturday of each month after Vespers, we still continue having Akates to the Mother of God. I should say again this time, unfortunately, not that many people attend this special service. Again, I would like to remind you the words of St. John Chrysostom. He says, "Never separate yourself from the church, for nothing is stronger than the church. Your hope is the church alone. Your salvation is inside the church only." Last year in March, remember, the Holy Resurrection Church hosted the Archdiocesan Council meeting with a number of members, approximately 16 members. Each deanery represented 2 members, plus bishops, members of bishop's office, including bishop himself. The topic is always the same: archdiocesan life to discuss and financial statement. I would like to this time to take the opportunity to thank Sanda. Thank you so much. Last year you were hosting Archdiocesan Council in your house, and you were helping, right? Few people helped. So thank you so much, Sanda. May God bless you. Archbishop Irinei at that time was present at that meeting as usually, and at that time our subdeacon and reader Michael Ivanov, Father Michael, he is present here, he was ordained to the diaconate. Since that time till now, Deacon Michael is helping to serve God in the holy altar. Glory to God. As we remember, our parish took a huge project last summer to replace an old roof on our church roof and church hall, as well to a new metal roof. So I got 5 estimates. Everything was presented to the church council. 5 estimates, and from Vancouver, including Surrey City, and those all estimates, they were quite expensive. First one was 157,000, second one 147, then 139, 127, something like that. And finally we got the roofing company from Cranbrook. Their estimate was $96,000, and we agreed to hire them. As we see, they did a very, very good job. They spent here, instead of 3 or 4 planned weeks, they spent here 7 weeks. But they did a very, very good job. We were not able last year to wash and paint our domes. They are dirty for a couple of years. The church domes, cupolas. For one reason, we couldn't rent the boom lift for July and August. Somehow that company was so busy, and I should tell you that 6 or 7 years ago, I don't remember, we hired them. We hired them. No, we rented from them that machine, boom, and it cost us that time $800 per day. Now it's $1,100 per day. 6 years later, and there is Dimitri. Как вас звали? Гончаров, да. Гончаров, который пел в хоре, который его сын, his son is washing and painting the high buildings, and of course he was able to wash and paint our domes. So I'm going to hire them again this year. He's a very nice young man. He goes to church, he baptizes his children in the church, but he likes to go to the monastery. Okay, last year, and we are going to try to paint our domes this summer. Last year, Church Starosta Arthur Kostika participated at 19th All-American Council, and we got his report, and one day in the church it will be read in the church. I don't want to spend time to read here because actually it's message to the whole congregation. That's why they're going to read in the church. Around the year, for the whole year, according to the church schedule, it was performed over 160 services in our church, including great feast and Lenten services. Besides the regular services, also were performed 16 baptisms, 7 weddings, holy unctions in the houses, and 7 funerals. Maybe 3 or 4 in the church, and the rest at the funeral homes. Many times I visited parishioners at their homes and hospitals. On behalf of all of the parishioners in Kelowna and myself, I would like to express great thanks and appreciation to all of you that I'm able to go to Kelowna to serve there. First of all, I'm not here, and secondly, of course, it is traveling expense included there, because I will tell you the truth that we are paying there for rent $150 to Serbian church, and then they pay for Father Michael approximately $150 to $300, and there is nothing left for traveling. So that's why many years ago I pushed our church council, and it was agreed that our church would pay gas travel or bus ticket when Father Michael goes to Kelowna. So it's help from mother church to daughter church in Kelowna. And they are very grateful for this help. Before finishing my report, I would like to personally thank all our parishioners for everything they did to our church. Specifically on purpose, I'm not going to mention any names because it's usually I meet somebody, and so many people during the year they help the church with electricity, with the cleaning the church, around the church, fixing stuff, and other commitments and helps. So I would generally to say thank you, everybody. Everyone dedicated himself or herself to God and His house, which is church, as much as they could. I'm very happy with the members of the church council. Again, I'm not going to mention their names, you all know. May God bless them. It's a job to come to the meeting once a month, but they have their own responsibilities, which is quite a big job. So they do an excellent job. So many thanks I would like to express to staff deacons of our parish, readers, acolytes, the members of the choir, the audit committee, Sunday school teachers, webmaster, and many unknown parishioners who were involved in any of numerous activities with church life throughout the past year. Dear brothers and sisters, without your support, without your prayers, I would not be able to continue pastoral service here in this church. Thank you very much for your great job to the glory of God and to the good and prosperity of our earthly church, and especially our beloved church of Holy Resurrection. May the Lord God bless us all. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Thank you for your attention. Any questions?
Thank you, Father Michael, for the report. I'll tell you if there are any questions. Thank you. The next report is from Starosta, and it will be presented by Jason Moore.
Good afternoon, brothers and sisters. It's my pleasure to read Arthur's report on his President's report for the annual general meeting for April 6, 2019. April 7th, pardon me. Father Michael Matushka-Liena, council and church members and guests, welcome to our general meeting for this year. First of all, I wish to thank Father Michael and Matushka-Liena for their efforts and dedication. Also, I wish to thank the council members, choir and choir director, altar servers, and everyone else who worked for or donated to the church. Just keeping the church open for use is a huge expense. We are gathered here today to listen to an account of the past year, adopt a new budget, council and trustees. Also to make some plans for 2019. And discuss and vote on some issues. The year 2018 was busy and successful. Regular church life continued. Father Michael continues to go to Kelowna every 2 months to serve. The council had regular meetings every month except for the summer. We also had special meetings to deal with unexpected issues. The council has always worked well together, attending to all types of church business, from day-to-day bills to paying insurance and taxes, for example. At the end of the year, the books were closed, income tax receipts were issued. Then the books were audited. All is in good order. We have a balanced budget. Sunday school continues and Montessori continues to rent the halls. We considered replacing the roof on the church and hall with a type of metal roof product. Early in the year, the council with Mr. Tom Green started to work on the cemetery project. It was blessed to use on March 2nd, 2019. Now at last we have our own affordable Orthodox cemetery in a beautiful setting. Some parishioners attended the blessing service. The Paschal celebrations went very well and were well attended. Each year, more people stay to the end of the liturgy, unlike many years ago when few stayed. Church attendance is generally good. There are no serious issues in the candle room. Candle and prosphora sales are very good. One of the biggest events was the ordination of Mikhail Ivanov to the diaconate. It is wonderful to again have a full-time deacon. In July, I attended the 19th All-American Council in St. Louis. It was decided to proceed with the roof replacement project for the church and hall. The company, Cody Ostash, was chosen to install the new dark gray metal roof. The gutters were also replaced. This took most of the summer to complete. The men did a very good job. The roof looks excellent. This summer we plan to service the cupolas and paint the outside of the church. Some landscaping was done, and on July 28th, 29th, there was a successful garage sale. A church picnic was planned for August the 5th. At the end of the summer, it was time to organize the Sunday school and for council to have meetings. Soon it was time to pay for insurances, one of the biggest expenses. From November 5th to 12th, Father Michael and Matushka Liana went to Mexico for a holiday. Before long, we were preparing for winter and the Christmas holidays. The concert was really wonderful. Then came the year end for 2018 and the start of 2019. More details will be given in other reports. This was just a quick summary. Thank you all very much for your attention. Respectfully submitted by Arthur Yoso Castillo, our Storosa.
Thank you, Jason. Any questions regarding the status report? Is it a question or is it the... Yeah, this is to confirm that the quorum is met. So we have 60 voting members and we have 54 present here, including proxies. And I understand all proxies are done according to the requirements, so no more than one proxy per person. Thank you, Alexander. The next item on the agenda is the report, is a treasure report. So I would like to invite Pavel Sorokin to present.
Reverend Fathers, brothers and sisters in Christ, it is my pleasure to report that financial situation of our parish remains secure, thanks to your continued support to the Montessori school. As always, I mention in alphabetical order our most generous donors: Arina and Lev Gretsky, Alexander Grunzov, Vitaly Gudkovsky, Felix Kaminsky, Arthur Kosticha, Galina Kovaleva, Dmitry Kravtsov, Diana Medina, Jason Alexander Morley, Елена Небурчилова, Михаил Попович Казерес, George Поворозник, Виктор Рогожин, Марина Серебрякова, Санда Симич, Франциско Суареш, Анна Сухова, Светлана Терехова, Елена Тихомирова, Светлана Усанина, Alexandra Vidrashko, Andrian Yagotkин, Igor Zhurichin. God bless them and all the givers. Our net accounting income for 2018 was $29,374 compared to only $2,600 in the previous year. Our total revenue was $241,612 compared to 2017. By item, name donations increased to 56,658 from only 20,733. This included a gift of 19,649 from the estate of the late Diana Nagda. Anonymous donations from the donation box decreased again from 5,590 to 4,460. But donations in kind increased to 13,619 from 7,120. Late collections increased somewhat to 32,830 from 38,785. As always, I encourage all parish members to donate cash to the church on a regular basis and also to support the Archdiocese of Canada for the St. Tikhon Archdiocese Stewards Program. Also, payment of parish dues is an important way of showing our commitment to well-being of the parish and our commitment to parish affairs. What other revenue items here? Donations for candles decreased a little from 47,325 to 44,245. Donations from phosphorus likewise decreased to $7,004 from $7,489. Sales of icons, books, and other items increased a little to almost 3,000 from 2,649. And same as previous year, we received $30,000 in grant from the Montessori school. Switching to the expense side, our total expenses were somewhat higher than in the previous year, 212,238 compared to 199,419 previous year. The assessment we paid to the Archdiocese remained at 12,000. Payroll expenses, insurance costs, property tax, utility expenses, maintenance expenses were all about as planned. We spent more money than in the previous year on purchasing candles, $10,513. We spent about the same on maintenance, 8,938. A little less on utilities, 7,424. More on office and administrative expenses, 10,146 compared to 7,926 previous year. And the more on gifts to parishioners, $5,270 compared to 2,715. Spent about 400 less on travel and about 600 less on gifts to clergy for services, because there was no bishop visit. Very little cash was spent in the choir because supplies for the choir, guests for the choir master, and much else were donated in kind. The biggest item which I mentioned by reported here and is not included in the income statement, but included in the balance sheet and in the budget is the expenditure on the roof, new gutters, and cemetery plots. The income statement is $114,750 for repairs and renovations, and these amounts were capitalized. The new roof at $104,900, the gutters at $7,500, and the new movable partition wall in the upper hall at $1,500. And we capitalized $35,000 for the 10 plots in the New Orthodox Cemetery. The funds had to be taken out of our financial reserve, which decreased total cash, including bank accounts, decreased from $336,500 to $220,800. God willing, and with your help, we will be building our financial reserve back up again. I thank Carfor Castilla and everyone who helped collect and count the cash during the year. I thank the Church Council who stewarded the parish's resources, and all volunteers who donated time and labor to the parish. Also thank the Audit Committee for their work and their most helpful recommendations. In Christ, your treasurer.
Thank you. Are there any questions regarding the report for the previous financial year?
Yes, just about the
one expense account, office supplies, gifts and food. It jumped up to 13,000, almost 14,000 from 7,000. Was it because of the crew, the construction crew who was working over
I
like,
don't know, the expenses in the construction crew were mostly capitalized, but the big item here is 4,500 donated in kind of bread from European bread
yeah,
bakery.
so we pay for it. Okay. But it's something that we're getting every year, so, but it's still it jumped
Yeah,
up.
but it was not reported previous year. Just
Yeah, she
They
didn't,
just accumulated.
yeah.
that's
she didn't
good.
submit for years.
Okay, I see,
Yeah.
so that's.
But still, Pavel, did you put the traveling expense too? Traveling expense.
Oh yes. Another big item included here is $1,800 of repairs for the rector's bed. So that's why it increased so much.
But we will still need to have it increased up to 10,000, that's including bread donations and everything else? I mean, we now we have the budget 10,000 for 2019.
Yeah, budget is uses cash-based accounting. So the bread donation will not go in there,
Okay.
only cash expenditures.
But I thought that she was giving it to us. I didn't know that we were paying for it.
No, we're not paying. It's donation in kind, but
It's
since
donation.
that bread was eaten, it has to be counted as
Okay,
We don't pay for the bread.
Yeah.
She gives for free,
yeah,
but she wants receipt,
okay, so we have to count it.
and she accepts receipt for her income tax.
Okay, yeah.
And of course, we have to account it to the income.
Okay, thanks.
Any more questions?
In kind.
In kind.
Any additional questions? Thank you. So the next item on the schedule is report on culture and education presented by Machkita.
So, dear Reverend Father Michael and Father Deacon Michael, Church Council representatives, members, and parishioners, first of all, I wish to thank our Lord for all His blessings. This past year was quite full of activities in our culture and education ministry. Sunday school continues to be very much active. There are 4 groups. We have been having 4 groups for a few years now. And these groups are organized according to ages. Preschool groups in September last year had an innovation. So we started a group of parent teachers, which includes Matushka Anna Ivanova, Tatiana Bukovskaya, Larisa Drazdenka, Anna Gamova, Natalia Sudakova, Natalia Yurtsova. Correct me maybe if I needed somebody. So teachers get regular help from Valentina Morley, Angelika Gavrilova, Lisa Gruntsova. It was a very good experience, new experience, because all teachers were in communication with each other. They knew which topics to choose and kind of continued. It started with one and the next Sunday continued with what was discussed before. Natalia Sudakova Varoznyuk was coordinating lessons and making schedules. Thank you also to Mikhail Pakovich and Georgy Pavaroznyuk, who helped with teaching support, computer support, because everybody has their own different phones and laptops, and they had to do something. Whatever they did, I don't know, but it was very helpful. Irene Nevernyuk and myself, we helped with teaching children how to sing the Nativity Trappar and Christmas carols. Group 2 was elementary school teachers and early teens, which was taught by Georgy Pavaroznyuk twice a month from 10 to 11 on Sunday. And it is also a very large group of children, which is a joy. And classes are very interesting and well planned. Thank you so much, Georgi, for your dedication, and you're always there, twice a month. Group 3 lessons, which were presented last year by Tamara Sukhalova and myself, they were not so well organized like Georgi's in elementary school, because it's a very small group. Sometimes there's 2, 3 children. Somebody can't come, unfortunately. Grade 11, 12, they already become anxious about exams and tests. So this is the area which I want to improve this year. And of course, we need your help in organizing activities for youth and young adults. If you have any ideas, let me know. And it's just so rewarding. It takes time, but it's very interesting because you educate yourself, you learn yourself, and it's for all growing children. Group 4 is presented by Alexander Gruntsev. Thank you, Alexander, very much. Also very disciplined and dedicated every Sunday after church service. The classes are very well prepared and very interesting. And they're open to everyone. So for all ages. Young adults, mature adults, everyone is accepted. So please come. Russian-Serbian Society was formed last year on the initiative of Branka and Elena Deljanin, and there were a number of cultural and historical meetings and events. A lot of our Serbian friends visited our church and helped with participation. One of the meetings last year was May 9th, dedicated to Victory Day. I would say that close to 200 people attended. And it was a very memorable event where people told life stories about their loved ones who survived and those who perished in the Second World War. Big thank you to all organizers and participants of this important cultural event. Another huge Russian-Serbian event happened in November last year at a Serbian restaurant, and that was a fundraising event. We actually managed to collect quite a bit of money, which was split between Serbian community and our community, and partially it went for the helped us with payment for the roof. Thank you very much for your participation and also donations. It was actually also a musical presentation, there was silent auction and gifts. It was quite fun. The concert for Holy Pentecost was a beautiful performance prepared by children and adults. Gorgeous costumes, music, poems were memorable. Thank you very much. A young historian, Leonid Shishikov, had 2 presentations about Great Patriotic War last fall. The first one was the Fortress of Brest, and the second one was the Battle of Moscow. Very well prepared, educating, interesting, and meaningful presentations. So that next Sunday, actually, I want to say April 14th, next coming Sunday, after liturgy, we will have the 3rd presentation called The Siege of Leningrad, Blockade of Leningrad. Hopefully everyone is able to attend, and especially our youth, because it's so important to know the history. Garage sales. Garage sale was a great success too last year. It takes quite a bit of time to prepare everything before the event. Our ladies pay so much time coming here almost every day, sorting things out, making it a system. And
To
so
wash.
it's presentable. They wash and they dry. So some things are not in a good presentable condition. So I want to thank Ludmila Koko, whose initiative it was to have garage sales, and she has been organizing this event for many years now. Thank you very much. We hope this year we'll have it again. And it's actually fun socializing with each other. And we also have bake sale, kitchen. Ladies in the kitchen, Natalia Jabarova always comes because there's something. Tatiana Mokrina. So I cannot name everybody. Natasha Hoflik always there, and Diana always there. Thank you so much. Christmas Yolka was a wonderful performance last year. First, there was a colorful musical Snow Queen play, which involved children and their parents. It was joy to see parent actors, so many talents. A big appreciation goes to Natalia Sudakova, Oksana Petrova, Marina Gretskaya, Svetlana Ягудина, Lev Gretskiy, Georgy Pоворoznik, Mikhail Popovich, Vladimir and Inna Gavrilov, and many, many other parents and children involved in Holy Pentecost performance and yoga. It took many hours, days and months of preparation and volunteer work. Everyone is grateful also to Rostislav Nikulin and his helpers, Mikhail Popovich, Georgy Pоворoznik, Gennady Ovda, so many others who built a flexible gate to make our hall bigger, so it can include so much more people. So for many of you, thank you, and may God bless you all. I continue with pre-marriage counseling course for those who wish to receive the sacrament of marriage in the church. Next, our library. Just want to remind you that our library has a great selection of books, and everybody is welcome. Thank you, Ludmila, for your work. The hiking club, which came into existence, I think, a year and a half ago, met, I would say, once a month last year approximately, and we had a break for winter. And now I think it was this month and next month, they will resume hiking again. Very nice and beautiful experience. Yes, I went once. Somehow didn't work, but I hope for this year I'll do more. All Saints of North America Orthodox Camp was successful again last year. I believe it was 16th anniversary since existence of camp. Half of the volunteers at the camp were our parishioners. And I have to say the children love camp. They wait for camp. That's the highlight, actually, of their summer. And we see so many children that come back and come back. Prayers, they experience prayers in the outside chapel. Bible stories, very interesting stories. Father Justin Hewlett, he presents, he's a journalist in his secular work, so and he can tell very interesting stories, and kids love it, adults too. We share food together in the wilderness, we eat outside. Breakfast, lunch, dinner, everything's outside. Campfire songs, games, workshops, camping and swimming. We need volunteers again for this year camp, which will take place from July 9th to 14th. Again, it's not far from the located not far from Nanaimo. And yeah, so I think this year we'll have a fundraiser for the camp because camp is non-profit society and we're always in minus, and it seems that it should, the cost of camp should cover it, but it doesn't. Of course, it doesn't because just $7,000 for rent for 5 days. So that's a huge chunk of money. So, well, there you go. Thank you so much for all of you hard workers and for your desire to help our growing generations, and may God guide us into another blessed year. Thank you for your attention. Hope Ruth could come back maybe this year or next year. If there is any, do you agree that there is a need for kind of psychological support? Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Madhushka, for a very detailed and meaningful report. Thank you. Thank you for all the feedback and suggestions. The next item is the report from auditors. German, please, German Hall.
Dear Father Michael, dear Council, dear parishioners, my report is going to be very brief. The audit committee has met 3 times earlier this year. We've duly examined the books and found them to be in good working order. So the financial statements indeed represent the activities of the Holy Resurrection Symbol. Once again, I'd like to thank my committee and also Pavel for his tireless efforts in making sure things are in good order. Any questions for me?
Just want to thank you for your recommendation that you give us every year. We try to follow it.
Well, and thank you for reminding me. Our recommendations will be coming to the next council.
Yeah, thanks so much. You're welcome. God bless you and your helpers.
Thank you.
Thank you. And your helpers are here. Is Uchmarov and Kopo. God bless you all. Thanks.
Thank you. Well, the next item is very important. It's the adoption of the parish budget for the 2019, and I would like to invite Pavel Sorokin to present it to the members.
Brothers and sisters, you have the budget in front of you. The draft. First thing you see is actual performance in 2018 compared to plan. And you see on the revenue side we exceeded our target. As mentioned above this, our revenues included a one-time item of about $20,000, which is not likely to be repeated this year. So the council feels confident in proposing a budget for the current year in the amount of $220,000. Item by item, we see that we're counting on the revenue figures close to what was achieved last year. The church collection was $40,000 in the previous year, increase of $4,000 over budget. We put $38,000 in the budget. Proscores were $7,000, so we'll decide to leave it at $7,000. Candle sales were a little over $44,000. We propose $45,000. Should be, hope it will increase a little. Sales of books, icons, other were very good, 3,765. We put conservatively 2,500 for this year. Donations for the church, 56,000 last year. Out of that one big item, we put conservatively 50,000 for the current year. Membership dues, just by tradition, we budget 9,000 each year. Interest on savings will be a little less than last year. It was 1,300. This year we budget 1,000 because our GICs decreased. GST refund, it should be substantial, $4,000, almost $4,400, because we paid so much GST last year. Montessori school rent 30,000 as always, and tractor rent 24,000 as always. Utilities refund was 3,300. Well, we put 3,200 for this year. Donations for services were only 690. Well, let's budget 800. Charitable work fund. Well, very little was collected last year, but we need to budget at least 2,000 because we're going to spend at least 2,000. So we will raise this fund somehow. For Sunday school, 2,000 was raised last year, so let's put 2,000 again for this year. But other items such as exchange rate gain. So that's how the 220,000 is revenue broken down. How do we break down 220,000 in expenditures? Well, we know what director's salary will be, what the payroll expense will be, what the housing allowance will be, RSP benefit, medical benefit, clergy group insurance. These items are all known in advance because prescribed by law, by our own decisions from past years. OCA assessment, the council decided to keep the 12,000 for the year. Gifts to clergy for services, only 1,000 last year, but this year the bishop will be coming at least once, so we need to budget 1,500. Choir expenses were a little over 2,700 last year. Let's budget 2,700. Candle purchases were 10,500 last year. Let's budget 12,000 just in case. Property tax was 1,270 last year. This year it should increase, and it's a matter that's not finalized yet because we're fighting the city of Vancouver who wants to tax our hall because we rented out a Montessori school, so we increased the assessment. This matter will be ongoing during the year, and council will be dealing with it. So, in the best case, we'll pay as much as a little over in the last year. Anyhow, the council decided to budget 7,000 for property tax. General insurance for the church, it increases every year by several percent, so we have to budget 17,000. Gas and electricity were 7,400 last year, but we budget 7,500. Water and sanitation, nearly 900, budget 900. Maintenance, nearly 9,000, we budget 9,000. Furniture and equipment, well, we didn't spend any last year, but we always budget some in case we need to replace some item of equipment, so budget 2,000. Telephone and internet was nearly 2,600, we budget 2,600. Advertising 470, we budget 470. Other supplies, gifts and food. Spent 13,600 last year. This year we decided to budget a little less, 10,000. Bank charges 1,200 last year, 1,200 for this year. Travel expenses about 5,500 last year, we budget 5,500. Books and icons 1,700, we budget 1,700. Archdiocesan Assembly and Council, about 700 was spent last year. This year it might be a little more, so we budgeted 1,000. Sunday school, 1,740. Spent from our account, so it's budget for 2,000. And charity 2,500, let's spent last year. Let's budget 2,000 conservatively. Sundry other expenses about 500 bucks. And what is left, 20,000, let's budget that for renovations and repairs. One project was mentioned here already by Father Michael, painting the domes, painting the walls, and I'm sure we'll think of something else. Maybe we won't spend the whole 20,000, but the council put that much in the budget. So that is our proposal for the current year. Any questions?
Thank you. If there are no questions, so we need to approve the budget. And I need the motion to approve it. So, the motion. So, those who are for adopting the budget as it was presented for the next year, please raise your hand. Against? Abstain? So motion carried, and we have the budget for the next year. So the next two items, announcement of the parish council and appointing of parish trustees will be done by Hector, Father Michael, and both of these do not require motion, so
Without the council, Father Michael, chairperson, according to his position, starosta, Artur Kastricha is usually deputy of starosta Misha, by blessing of the rector, Father Sorokin, treasurer, secretary, Alexander Morley, and the member at large, Georgi Todorov. Number 9, appointing of parish trustees, Stavrik and Morley, Dimitri Shmaro and Gena Poltak, council recommendation. So I didn't approach, I just asked Alexander Morley, but I didn't approach the rest. But I hope that you will continue to stay again, right? And Shmaro Dimitri, Tima, are you staying?
Yes, I do.
Okay, good. Thank you, and God bless you. Okay, thank you.
thank you. Moving to the agenda section number 10, current business. And the first presentation is a brief report regarding cemetery project by Jason.
Thank you, Senator. Brothers and sisters, as many of you know, and as you heard from the President's report, we do finally have an Orthodox cemetery that is up and running. The grounds for the cemetery were consecrated according to Orthodox tradition on March the 2nd of this year. Some of you were there to attend that event. There is still the ability to buy graves for those of you or your loved ones or friends that are Orthodox to purchase a grave still at a rate that is quite affordable. and there's not much more to say. As many of you know, the project was ongoing for many years. Sasha Ovidoff was very much involved in that, helping to develop the bylaws. Thank you very much, Sasha, for everything that you did over the years with that. There were numerous meetings that the Parish Council had with Mr. Tom Crean and his son Trevor. Those two gentlemen, of course, own and operate the cemetery. And of course, the meetings again that we all had. And there, of course, those of you that were here for, when Mr. Crean himself spoke before all of us. So basically, there's not much more to do. I think from the perspective of the Parish Council, the issue is closed. Excuse the pun, it can be buried now. We do have our parish, or we do have our Orthodox cemetery, and we could probably move on now. Thank you.
Thank you. I would like to, Alexander, please can you go back? I would like to add to it that church bought 10 plots, and we bought it specifically. The church will keep it in case we need it. And of course, we have always people who work very hard in our parish, and it was our pleasure to give to some of our parishioners. So we kind of donated or we give it for Tamara, one plot, because we all know that she works very hard here in this church. May God bless her. And also we give to Pavel and Marina one plot. So we left 8. So if somebody would like to, so you have to work hard in the church. Hard, a little bit harder. So, but it's too early, don't worry. You have lots of time. Number 2, Alexander, please. I didn't put, we discussed many times at the church council meeting about BC assessment. I just forgot to put it here, but we would like to inform you what that is all about, please.
Okay, I can add to that. As you probably heard from the Treasurer, Pavel Sorokin, there is a matter that we put to budget for the potential that we're going to have to pay some property taxes. To give you a bit of background on this, about a year ago, BC Assessment came to us asking questions about our rental arrangement with Montessori World. We answered all of their questions. We showed them our rental agreement that we have with Montessori. We gave them precise measurements of how much space that Montessori rents, right down to the point of doing a digital measurement. A representative from BC Assessment came out here to again walk through our grounds. There was originally a misunderstanding that our entire church was being rented to Montessori. I personally have been dealing with this for the last year, and I personally spoke to BC Assessment. They understand that our arrangement with Montessori was nothing to do with the church building itself, only with the upper and lower hall. That still doesn't suffice that they want to keep us tax exempt. Again, initially where this started was questions about Montessori, and they were going to tax us based on the entire property. They feel that it's appropriate to tax us only on the portion that Montessori rents. We don't agree with that. We're fighting that. We have retained a lawyer. We are working with a lawyer right now to examine what our legal rights and obligations are in regards to paying any bill to BC Assessment. Again, as you heard from Pavel, we have put aside $7,000, as we have been told from BC Assessment would likely be the bill that we have to pay, but we're going to make sure that we don't pay that without a fight. We don't agree with it. We do know that other churches in the neighborhood, in the city, in the province for that matter, do rent out portions of their buildings for daycares, similar arrangements that they have with Montessori. We were assured at the time that we had the rental agreement go into place over 10 years ago. The agreement was put together by a lawyer, the same lawyer that we're using now. We were assured that we would remain tax exempt. So we certainly didn't go about this years ago with any form of ignorance. We did our due diligence to be informed. And we're doing the same thing now, based on the information that we had at the time. We don't believe that we should be taxed, and we're going to do what we can to protect the interests of your money.
Okay, thank you, Alexander.
Thank you, Alexander. Next item is the church roof project. Would you like to add to?
Thank you so much. Nothing very much to report. I just put it there just to underline that it's done. It's done, and thank you very much for your support. I'm personally very happy because I was the one that was taking vedro I što еще, vedra, buckets, and I was putting here because it's leaking here. I was putting in the church, I was putting in the office, and the stage. Probably 6 or 7 places there was a leaking in the church, and one time it went over our grand piano upstairs and destroyed our stage upstairs. So at the church council meeting we said this is enough, it's time already, and we called the professionals. They went upstairs to check the roof, and they said, no, you have to replace this roof. And I'm happy that we decided to go with the expensive variety, and because it's I wouldn't say for life, but for sure 50, 60, 70 years. Like they said 70, but if it lasts for 60, that's okay for sure. For me, that would be enough. I don't have to worry anymore. Yeah. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Father Michael.
This is probably a question. Because we sing in the choir, Ola, myself, and Mika. And of course, we face the altar. But in the middle of the church, we see, and you probably noticed it too, that the ceiling is peeling.
Yeah.
Right in the middle. So I
Yeah.
think it's an issue. I don't know.
It's there are small pieces
Piece
of
of
the paint
paint,
coming
that's kind of
out, so you can see the kind of a hole between the ceiling and what's coming out
Okay, I will talk to Valery
into place.
Uvaro. He painted only 3 years ago or 2.
I know, but that's
Yeah, it should be okay, so I will talk to him.
could have been something, but you know, the roof doesn't leak anymore, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
But we can go inside and, but maybe it's from the previous week, but now
yeah,
I don't believe we
not too
have
much
now
paint.
any leaks. You know, it depends. You know, when you ask somebody to do something, you have to call the professional because they know what they are doing. For example, if your wall is painted oil, right, very small, and if you put water base
Yes,
on
you
it,
can't, yes.
then it's finished. You pay for nothing. Yeah. Oil should go on oil should be oil paint. On water, paint should be paint water based.
It's like the rail that goes up to the choir, the rail.
Yeah.
It goes
Thank you. Are there any questions regarding the new business? Then basically, as we don't have any further business on the agenda, I would like to have a motion to adjourn the meeting. So please vote for adjourning the meeting. Who is for? Against? Abstain? So I declare the meeting adjourned. Thank you.
and the
the
shortest
closing.
meetings.
Please let us pray. And before we pray, I would like to thank Alexander
pleasure chairing the meeting. Thank you, Sasha. You always do a good job. Alexander, thank you for taking the minutes. And thank you everybody who does it for coming. Like I said in my report, without you there is no church, there is no congregation at all. You know, bless us all. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Достойно есть всякого истину, блажитеся Богородицу, пресноблаженную и пренепорочную, и Матерь Бога нашего, честнейшую Херувиму,